Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Tunisia's Locks, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri. We are almost near 15,000 subscribers. I want to say thank you to all of you and to let you know I love you, I love you, I love you. And for those of you who I speak to, those of you who are ordering the Miracle Grow Serum or the Anti-Aging Serum or the Acne Serum, namaste. The light in me honors the light in you. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to get to meet all these beautiful human beings. So on to the topic today. By the way, if you haven't subscribed, liked, or commented, feel free to do so. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. If you've gotten this far in the video and you connect with my energy, just go ahead and subscribe. So I wanted to talk today about what to look for in a loctician. The worst situation you want to have being new to locks or coming into locks and considering Sisterlocks or Microlocks or whatever is to be hopping around from one loctician to the other. It's best if you can find someone who you can be with for a while, but that takes a little forethought and it takes some planning, and it's good to know some things to look forward to or some things to be discriminating about when you are considering locks, or even if you already have them and you're thinking about transitioning to a new loctician. Obviously, the first thing is price, okay? Price is important. It's something you have to consider. Now, price should not take precedence over the energy of the loctician consultant and whether or not you like them, whether or not you feel good around them, whether or not you can relax and you resonate with their energy. Price should never take precedence over that. In fact, that's number two. And that's the thing that is the most important thing, because you can have a wonderful price, and if their attitude sucks, if you don't like their energy, if they're moody, if you don't feel like you can communicate openly with them, what's the point? But if you have a perfect person that's a perfect fit and you feel good each time you leave your session, you can communicate openly with them about things that you have that are bothering you with your locks or concerns or whatever, and the rapport is wonderful and smooth, and they don't make difficulties for you. They don't put obstacles in your way. If you're 5 minutes late when you're trying to schedule, they don't make it difficult. If you have some slippage, they don't charge you, $1 for every lock that they have to repair, stuff like that. Trust me, you'll be willing to pay the extra 10, 20, 30, 40, or maybe even $50, depending upon what it is that you value when it comes to your locks. But let's go back to number one with the money. When we talk about money and Sisterlocks, keep in mind we're not just talking about the install. That's important. The price that you're going to be paying, that has to do usually with the length of your hair. And by the way, if they're charging you by the length of your hair, then you need to make sure that they go all the way down. Okay, literally, you need to make sure that your hair is being braided down, not being braided, but being locked down to the end or within maybe a half an inch or so of the end. Seriously, don't allow them to charge you by the length of your hair and then you end up getting your hair locked and you realize they've left out 1, 2, or in some cases with the ladies on the channel, 3 inches. And then you have your hair that's locking looking totally different in the areas where it was just left out versus the actual length of the lock. All right, so consider price, consider your reties, consider travel, and those sorts of things that are figured into expenses, and also consider a tip. I believe in giving a tip. A tip primes whomever you are working with to give you a greater level of service because of the multitude of people who don't tip. But the beauty of a tip is it's saying, I really appreciate you. You had your hands on me. You were in my energy field, and I want you to know that I'm grateful for that. So tipping is something that I always do with my loctician, irregardless of what I'm paying in price. I feel good when I tip, okay? So on to number 3. What's their position on putting oil in the hair? Many people who come out of the Sisterlocks brand have mixed feelings when it comes to oil, but a great deal of them will tell you not to put oil on your hair. If you have a loctician that is really entrenched in that and you place oil on your hair and you start to experience slippage or anything else that may not necessarily be the oil, it could be some other aspect of your care routine, then you might run into a problem. By the same token, if you're someone that knows that your hair needs oil and you can't see yourself going for the first year or two without putting oil on your hair, then you might need to reconsider how entrenched and embedded they are in making sure that you use oil. Or you just simply make the decision for yourself and you spray a little where you need it before you go to your retightenings, a day or two before you go to your retightenings, and you monitor and make sure that you don't saturate and overdo and create any problems for your hair. But you might want to know going in how they feel about oil. Now, Ifraj installed my locks. She still does the majority of my retightenings now, and she put oil in my hair from day one. So for many of you that ask me, should you put oil in your hair? It's a personal choice. Now, I was straight out of the book when she installed my Sisterlocks. So when she was going to put the oil in after she finished the installation, I was like, are you sure that's okay? Because the Sisterlocks brand says, and then, she assured me, as a cosmetologist who's licensed, she's worked with not just these locks, Sisterlocks, but she's been doing natural hair forever. And we need oil. And I knew I needed oil anyway because my hair has scalp issues. And it's only been through the use of my magical hair serum that arrested the development of that. And so whenever I don't use oil, like remember when I came up with the hair growth serum, I went 7 months without using any oil in my hair because for 8 years almost, I only used my oil in my hair, which accounts for the growth and the strength. So I needed to see what my hair would be like without it in terms of the weight, because the product was weighing my hair down, on top of the fact that I needed to really get a feel for how much was it doing with my scalp and how much would I suffer. It didn't take long. By month 3, I was right back in that space that I was before, with dealing with some of the itchiness, some of the flakiness, and some of the other little scalp issues, mostly in the top part of my head. So for me, I know I need oil. I need to care for, condition, and moisturize my hair. Now, the new serum that I'm using now, that you guys can purchase by contacting me with the information in the description, or you can just text me at 678-438-6442. It's much lighter. Because of the length of my locks, my initial serum was just too heavy, and that's on a recipe on the channel. You can make it if you want. Just do a search of Miracle Grow oil and you can find it and you can make it. But it also attracted some additional length to my hair type, and it made it too heavy. And as my hair has gotten longer, I simply cannot have weight. I can't have that extra weight. The length itself is enough weight. So by me using the oil and doing infrequent washings, it was too much. But oil in general is something that you need to decide how you feel before you even, get the locks. Decide that going in. Number 4 is I talked about the rapport. Okay, is this a person that you can conversate with? Is this someone that you feel like if you have a concern, you can express it? If your hair is being retightened too frequently, are they willing to be open to a discussion about it? Are they flexible? Do they really listen to what you're telling them? When you say the retightening hurts or it's too tight on my head, do they say okay and then they continue retightening and you're still in pain 2-3 days, 1 or 2 weeks after the retightening? What is the rapport? Are they patient? Do they race through your hair? Do they always seem to have some personal drama going on when you come in to get your retightenings? What is the frequency like when you walk into their shop or into their home? These are things you have to consider, because people who bring their problems to their professional line of work, or people who bring their problems to work, or people who can't separate work from their emotional situation or whatever's downloading in their life, you don't need that kind of drama. You need the person to be totally focused. I'm looking at my list when it comes time to you getting what you need in terms of your hair. So be mindful of that. That may take you having to see a person more than one time. That may take you having to do a drop by for some reason. You needed to stop by so that you could see what the energy was like. There are a lot of things that go into that. The other thing I want to talk about, number 5, is speaking to previous clients or finding a way to get a reference. If you have someone who's referring you, that's one thing. You guys know Efraj, you see my hair, okay, and I'm up for retightening, but I always wait till the last minute to make my retightnings, because you guys know I go quite a ways out And I'm getting ready to do a video on what I do before my retightening because my hair is in bad shape. It really is tangled. I just been kind of getting up and going lately. I may spray a little bit of my oil up here just to kind of reconstitute it and to detangle it. But my hair is crazy right now. But she's going to do my hair in about 2 weeks. I'm at now about 8 weeks. So I'll be at about 10, maybe 10 and a half by the time I get it done. So I'm really in need of a retightening. But you all know Efraj. And I talk about her all the time. And she and I have a very good rapport. There are things in the beginning that I didn't feel as comfortable communicating. But that's on me, not on her. That's on me. Just like it's on you. If you don't open your mouth, it's on you, right? So, but we have a great rapport. We get along very well. Naka, who's the other sister who does my hair, and I would give you guys her contact information, but she's just not taking any new clients. And right now, Efraj is not either. I'm sorry. But Naka and I have a wonderful rapport, to the point that sometimes our sessions go over a little bit more because we talk and we jive and we have a lot in common. We're both heavily spiritual, and we talk about all types of high vibrational stuff. So it's a different experience, but I'm fortunate enough to have two people in my life who I can communicate very well with. So those things are really important. Number 6, the degree of loyalty to the brand. Now, why is this important? Because you have certain locticians, certain consultants that are very stoic, that are very rigid, that are very inflexible. So if the manual says that they need to do the retightenings in 3 hours, and it means they got to rip and race through your hair to get it done, then that's the way it's going to be. If the manual says that they are not going to use oil and you need to use the Sisterlocks shampoo for the first however many months, then that's what they're going to recommend. You need to know that you have someone. For me, this is my personality. The person needs to reflect your who you are, okay? Efraj is not a totally by the book person. We can converse about things that I may need her to tweak as it relates to my personal preferences. Naka the same thing, but if I was going to someone who told me when they installed my locks, because the ones up here were bigger and I wanted them all kind of small in the same size, and I asked my loctician, would she separate certain ones? Okay, and I took them out and she did it for me. She cautioned me and she let me know what it would do to the grid, but it was my preference and she was willing to do that for me. You could have that same situation with a consultant and they're not willing to budge because the brand says they need to be this size here, this size here, this size here, and this size up here. If you're not rigid like that and you need more flexibility and flow, then you need to make sure that that is reflected in the person who is spending the most time on your body, which these days, once you have locks, is going to be your loctician. Number 7, policies and professionalism. Now, depending upon who you're working with, this can come across in things like when you set the appointment, do you get reminders? It can come across in things like when you went and got your test locks, did they wait the 3-day period or whatever the waiting time period is? Did they give you the starter kit, whatever the starter kit is? It's been a long time, you guys. I really can't remember. Are they by the book? Is there by the bookness? Because they don't have to be by the book. I just said that. But is their level of professionalism something that resonates with you? Do they start the appointments on time? When you go there, are you having to wait 30 minutes? Do they stop and eat? Or are they checking their text messages the entire time while you're getting the retie? Sometimes these aren't always the things that you can pick up right away until you get a retightening. But usually the level of professionalism that an individual has starts from your very first point of communication. When you called in, did they call you back? Or when you called, did they call you back in a reasonable amount of time? Or when you called in, did they say to you, I'm with a client, can I get back to you? All right. Or are they talking to you while they're doing somebody's hair? All of these are things that can happen before you even actually have a chance to meet that person. When you go into the environment, is it clean? Is it uplifting? Is there mess on the floor? Are they eating? Are they stripping chicken while they're doing somebody's hair or while they're doing your hair? Are they dressed professionalism or are they in their pajamas? I'm big on that kind of stuff. I get up every day. I don't care what's going on. I was raised like that from a kid. So I can't help that. But no matter what's going on, I get up every day and I put myself together because it makes me feel good. But in terms of professionalism, I take what I do very seriously. I never present myself to a client unless and until I'm ready to face the world. So because my environment is a reflection of me, right? Everything in your environment. My mom used to tell us growing up, the way a person's bathroom and kitchen are is a reflection of what's going on in their head. The way they organize their environment is a reflection of what's going on up here. And it is. So you need order, right? Punctuality corresponds with order, right? Timeliness, being punctual, having an ethical way of doing things. What happens when you're being asked that you're going in to pay one price, and then because of something else there's additional prices you might have to pay? These are things that maybe need to be given to you in a policy. Some loctician consultants will give you that policy up front, which will let you know what their energy is as it relates to business, how laid back they are. If you're pursuing a loctician and she gives you a list of things that she expects: hair must be washed, must make appointment 2 weeks before, must show up on time, come in late 30 minutes, you have to reschedule, all this crazy stuff. And it's not crazy. Let me take that back. But for me, I'm more flow. I do like timeliness. But if I were to go into a place and I got a set of directions like that and it was related to my locks, I would probably move away from that and look for a different type of consultant. However, if I came into my car mechanic and I had a list of things like that, I would appreciate that as a certain level of professionalism because of the way I feel when it comes to getting my car fixed. But my hair, my body, my person, that's a whole nother different thing. So you got to be very careful about those kinds of things. See what you can peep out about a person prior to. And that takes me back to, I think it was number 5, where I was talking about references. References are important, and you can't just take what's on the website. Thanks to my loctician, I was informed that some of her pictures of her clients was on another person's website who's taking credit for having done the hair. You guys know people shop images today. They take images, they steal stuff, they lift stuff, they pilfer stuff. You can't just go by what is on somebody's channel. You need to ask for a reference. And if you are able to get a few references, can I get the name of someone who's been using you for a few years? Can I get the name of someone who more recently had an install? All right, whatever. See what you can get out of them. Sometimes you may need to check Google reviews. You may be able to actually find, if they have a salon, you might be able to actually find some reviews on Google. But see if you can't get some up-to-date information and maybe even personally talk to someone. These things are important. Number 7. This is kind of important. It doesn't pertain to everybody. You have to evaluate each situation separately, but is this person a cosmetologist who is well versed and experienced in dealing with, with natural hair? Or are they just someone, not just, because there's nothing wrong with just being just, but are they someone who is a Sisterlocks consultant or trainee who has just learned how to do Sisterlocks? You kind of gotta weigh it. You will find a trainee or a consultant who does a hell of a better job than one of these ambassadors out here. All right, but you have to wade through the water and you have to go through the murkiness and figure out what your values are and what you're really looking for. Because if you're dealing with a cosmetologist who knows how to address and deal with hair, you're going to get a whole nother level of wisdom that comes only through experience. Now, you may get some stubbornness as well because people can be entrenched, but you have to decide what is more important to you. Is this person just making money on the side, and after a period of time, if my hair starts thinning and I start having problems with my locks, how are they going to address that? Do they have the kind of background that will help me be able to get the help that I need and the information that I need should I start having trouble with my locks? Or am I going to just be told, go see the dermatologist? That's not good enough anymore. Being told go see the dermatologist when you've been getting locks and having retightenings for years and you start noticing the loss of your locks, because oftentimes it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the quality control of the retightenings, the frequency, and everything else. So these are things that you want to really consider. Is the trainee or the consultant, are they kind? Are they soft on your hair? Are they good to your hair is what I'm talking about when I say kind. Not kind to you. Does your hair like that person? You could be going to the cosmetologist and still be experiencing hair loss. So these are things you have to weigh. Don't dismiss someone that is a trainee or a consultant that does not have a cosmetology license. Don't dismiss that. But at the same time, you want someone who knows about hair. I think that that is really important. They have been running a shop, or they've done several clients, or they themselves maintain their locks, something that you can see that speaks to their work. The last thing I want to talk about, number 8, is questions, 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 and more questions. And let me make sure I got everybody. That's simple. That's not a biggie. I might mention that, but questions, and I will mention it. I'll go to 10. And that is, have a list of questions that you want to ask that person and get the answers to those questions and make sure that those answers are suitable for you. There are a lot of things that you may not know going into locks, that when you start to have locks, those questions will come up, and you will want to know that you have a person who has the patience to answer them. If they don't have the patience and the wherewithal to answer them before you drop the money, and they're trying to get your money, then after you drop the money, they're not going to have the patience and the wherewithal to answer them then either. All types of questions. Questions like, what happens if I have slippage? What do you do for your clients that are experiencing thinning? What do you think are some of the issues that have to do with thinning? How often should I be getting my reties? What is your process for booking my appointments? Meaning, hopefully in that conversation it will come up, well, if you don't book your appointment when you leave here today for the next session, then you're going to have trouble getting it next time around. All those kinds of concerns. All right, what's your cancellation policy? It's important. How often have you had to cancel on a client the day that they were to get a retightening? How do you go about canceling on clients? Today you need to be asking about the pandemic, and do they expect you to wear a mask, or what are some people I hear are saying that you need to come in with a COVID test to prove that you don't have COVID in order for them to do your hair. So there are a multitude of different things that you may want to ask. Are all my locks going to be the same size? How many locks do you think I might have based on what you can see in terms of the density of my hair? What type of pattern do you think I should have? These are all things that we never ask in the beginning. And oftentimes people can have the best of intentions when they start working on our hair, but it's like when you go to the doctor, they don't do a lot of talking. They just get busy writing the prescriptions and stuff. And if you're like me and you're inquiring mind, total Virgo up here in the house, I want answers. I want to know. I'm an inquiring mind. I'm not satisfied with, just the end result. I want to know about the process. I have questions and I'm going to want them to be answered. And in the long run, you're going to be more grateful that you were inquisitive and inquiring mind than not. Okay, let's talk about, what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? This is a little different than the last one. Number 9, how do they deal with complications? This is important. Sometimes you can't sense this out until you're in the midst of a problem that's challenging. You can't always get a sense of a person's level of customer service. Customer service is important. I being a business person, owning my own business for, 15 years, maybe longer, I'm big on customer service. I want my clients to feel happy with the service that they received when they're paying me for something. Now, can you please everybody? Likely not. But I have to say this, y'all, and this is not an exaggeration. I can't think of right now off the top of my head a client that I have who has expressed displeasure to me and left my office being displeased with something. I try to be sincere in the level of service I give, and I think that for people who do this as a rule of thumb and as an ethical thing, this comes natural. And so by the same token, people who don't do it, that comes natural also. And it should be something that you can easily observe. And a lot of times you can observe it in a person's body language. If you just pay attention to the way they attend to things that are going on in their environment, to their demeanor, you can tell if someone is kind of rigid and someone is not. You can tell if someone is a little compromising and someone who may be not. If not, you have to ask them the kinds of questions that help you to kind of get a better idea of, have you ever had a situation where someone came in and they were dissatisfied with an install? How did you deal with that? They may say, well, you know, when I do an install, after about the first third of their hair or the first eighth of their hair, I let them take a look and see how it's coming along. Have you ever had a situation like, do you follow the Sisterlocks grid? Have you ever had a situation where someone came in and they felt like you didn't follow the grid, or you didn't do this, or you didn't do that? You want to get a handle on how do they deal with difficult issues, because there are many ladies on the channel who would tell you they were pretty much told, you know, we'll have to take them out and reinstall them, but you need to take them out, and when I reinstall them, you need to pay me again. That's unacceptable. So these are questions you have to, and these have to be challenging questions. These are different than the informational questions I was speaking to before. All right. These are questions that have to do with scenarios that are not pleasant. All right. That type of stuff. That's the kind of thing you want to know. What have you ever had a situation, or what do you do in a situation where a person is due for an appointment, but they call you the morning of with an emergency? Oh, okay, I'll make an exception. I have to keep the $50 deposit. They have to pay me for my time because I lost time and I couldn't schedule another client, but they can reschedule as early as within that same week if I have an availability. Or maybe it's one strike and you're out. These are just things you kind of got to find out about. So that's very important. And then the last thing, with your retightenings, do they include washing and styling? That's something that's worthwhile to know going in. To my knowledge, I don't think my retightenings include washing, but I already went in from the beginning wanting to wash my hair. I always wash my own hair before my retightenings. It gives me a chance to detangle my hair and unmarry locks, and I don't know, I just never got in the habit of doing that, and I don't desire that. But some people don't want to deal with their hair at all. So your retightening price might not include washing. It might just include the actual retie. And certainly under most cases, it's not going to include styling either. So these are just 10 things that you want to keep in mind as you shop for a loctician, whether you're shopping for the first time or you're going through the process again, looking for another consultant. I hope this video helped you. If you made it to the end, please write "made it to the end" in the comment section. I love y'all who make it to the end. It helps the algorithms. If you're interested in readings, go to my Paradigm Soul Readings channel or check me out in the description to schedule one. If you want to schedule a Reiki energy clearing, if you're interested in mentoring, whatever that may be, feel free to check out the information in the description. As well, if you're interested in spiritual content, not religious content. I believe everything is spiritual, and spirituality is everything. Spirituality has to do with how we live our life. Okay, if you're interested in things related to mindset, clearing yourself emotionally, up-leveling your vibration, all of those kinds of things, come and visit me on my Butterfly Transformations channel. I'd love to have you over there on that channel. Much love to you, beautiful, beautiful, divine feminines, and any masculines as well who may be watching the video or subscribe to the channel. I wish you peace, prosperity, and productivity today. Make sure you catch it. Join me also on patreon.com where we get it in. Bye, everybody.